Well then, interestingly, well, maybe not so surprisingly, but definitely interestingly, Isaba has won their first match in the LAN finals of the Legends series in League of Legends. This is the first type of tournament in League of Legends that ELC is creating, and possibly not the last also. So definitely great that we do get to see these League of Legends team right here. Hopefully they're going to leave some positive memories behind themselves. But for sure right now, Isaba is satisfied with the first match. Overall, I mean, there's a huge difference between a very established team that's training each day very hard with a gaming house and all that stuff that's been together through good and bad, through huge tournaments, through small ones, and through a lot overall, compared to Bulldogs, who are just starting in this lineup. After all, like 2 months compared to a couple of years is pretty much nothing. But they expected to do a little bit better. Hopefully they can prove that in their next match. As I said, there's still that little factor that they might not be as warmed up as they might like to be, and of some issues still popping up in the game. Right now I can see them discussing all that already, so they will be sure to be better off in the next match, and I definitely would love to see that. But for now, eXtatus, we definitely have a lot of hopes for them after seeing the previous Czech team showing such a superb performance. Then maybe eXtatus are also going to do the same. But Euronics Gaming up against them. Just looking at the player sheet right here, and what I'm seeing definitely is not bad at all. Especially Donards, like he was talking a little bit in the chat during the group stage. He was showing some great performance with his Lee Sin, and definitely a lot of good stuff could be shown by him, especially in the lineup of Euronics Gaming. Although they were the only team that's qualified for this tournament and had a little bit of a problem in the group stage, because they were the only ones that dropped a map against Gameiser, a French team. And I was actually hoping to see Gameiser on this tournament, and they've been doing really well, and they didn't drop a single map until the very finals of their group. But then they lost against Euronics, who massively came back, because that single loss to Gameiser seems to be like a butter of ice cold bucket, or rather, of ice cold water on their heads, and instantly they like started finishing games in 20 minutes flat, really. So that was real impressive, and real cool to see. And now we can see both the teams on the stage already preparing themselves for the match. We saw them on the playground a little bit, just testing their champions, walking into this venue and playing on the PCs that are prepared not only for the players but also when they're free for the visitors to this tournament. And yeah, next week, which is also worth mentioning, we've got the finals of the Counter-Strike Legends series. So if you're living quite close to Hamburg, if you're like what you're seeing, if you're maybe a fan of Counter-Strike, you could also get yourself a ticket and show up right here and then chill with the teams. And maybe on that ring that you saw just a couple of moments ago, where we have some VR tournaments, mini tournaments being played out right here. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff to do. But overall, what's the most important thing right now is League of Legends and the matches that we are witnessing. And it's a tough call for me, really, because I'm not too sure about the favorite for this matchup. Definitely Euronics on their home turf. They're looking incredibly strong. But then on the other hand, this is a team that has 2 lineups currently, and one of them are playing in the Challenger Series qualifiers, and the other is playing a National League. So that is the Meisterschaft, if I'm not mistaken. That's what it's called in Germany. So they're a little bit of a... how to call it for it not to sound disrespectful. I don't want to say lesser team, but they definitely are the B team in Euronics Gaming. So that would slightly tilt me towards Alza eXtatus, but then I am expecting a good game. So hopefully that's gonna be one. I can hear that the team sheets, the player sheets already, so we're gonna show you the lineups for both the teams. And as I mentioned, for Euronics Gaming, there's definitely gonna be Donards that you have to pay attention to. Other than that, they've got Pretty, Murmel, Pandar and Wardane in the lineup, and this might be a tiny bit different to what we've seen in the group stages. or just the nicknames being a little bit different. But then I definitely remember Crossman that we did get to see right there. Anyway, though, we do get also to see the eXtatus lineup in a little bit, but let's talk about Euronics Gaming. I was talking about Donards and his jungle. Overall, this far we did get to see like 4 combined jungle bans in the first pick and ban phase. So there's a possibility that once again jungle is going to be the big focus for both the lineups. And just like that, maybe Donards will feel a little bit pressured, but I mentioned his Lee Sin. Other than that, he played a lot of different champions. He was very diverse of a jungler right there. So as soon as they lost the game with Gameiser, he started playing different champions, did completely out of his world, like out of his mind, because in the match against Gameiser, he disappointed as hell. He picked a champion that he could not really execute well in that situation. It didn't work at all, and it looked just simply sad because Euronics were coming in as one of the bigger favorites from this group. The other team being able to possibly go up against them was Gameiser, and after seeing them lose one-sidedly to Gameiser, we thought that, okay, yeah, ESG should be out of the competition. Gameiser will be taking the spot in the finals here. We will see the French team on LAN, but that did not happen. Donards, after a horrible game of his in the first match, he just did amazingly good, and on, as I said, like 3 or even 4 different champions. So you have to be careful about this guy. Now, let's take a look at eXtatus, who are going to be facing off against them. We've got Morche in the top lane, Sawyer in the jungle, Shiage in the middle lane, Karzi and Camilius. That's the bottom lane. And Camilius, I'm not sure if he's the captain of the team, but definitely seems like the main spirit of the team. Always smiling, always very talkative, always able to cooperate with you. And we already learned a little bit of interesting stuff about the teams and about the game from him through just like 5 minutes of speaking to him. So yeah, he's definitely amazing, and also he's just 16 years old. So you've got to be careful. There's some dangerous young blood on the scene, and maybe it's gonna create some shakeups. I was checking out the social media websites for eXtatus and eSoba lately, and there have been over the past years like a little bit of exchanges. So maybe Camilius is also gonna look to transfer to the top 1 team in Czech Republic. But anyway, for now, we're going to transfer over to the stage, now where Nikita's got the players ready for introduction.
Hi, thanks for that, Dominic. Yes, I'm on stage, and I'm just about to introduce the next 2 teams. So first up, can we please have eXtatus? So hi guys, how are you guys feeling?
We're feeling pretty good and confident into going this match, so I hope we can win, and we are prepared.
That's good to hear. So you're the other Czech team. We just saw the first one do very, very well. Do you think you guys will do as well?
I think if we play our best game, I think we can do the same thing.
Oh, that's great to hear. So that's a lot of confidence coming from someone who's quite young. So you're how old?
I'm 16 years old.
And you're not even the youngest player, are you?
The youngest player is here, he's 15.
Wow, that's crazy. So how did you guys, like, this must be your first LAN event?
It's first international event, but we've been through a lot of LAN events in our country, so we know how to play LANs. And
okay, well, that's great to hear. I hope you give us an exciting match. Thanks a lot, eXtatus, and good luck.
Thanks a lot.
Good luck, guys. Cool interview, and I guess we'll have to see how it turns out, if they'll be able to show us the same sort of performance as eSuba. So the next team is ESG, Euronics. Hey, Pretty, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think the level of this tournament is really playable for us. We should have this if we play according to the plan we have. And yeah, I'm feeling confident that we will do good.
That's great to hear. So do you guys also have quite a bit of experience in LAN tournaments?
Yep. Personally, I played a lot of LAN tournaments, especially in France. And Most of my team members, I think, played a lot of LAN tournaments here. Some of them not that much, but it's experience for everyone anyways.
That's great to hear. So how dominant do you think? Do you think this will be an easy match, or do you think it will be tough?
Well, I don't really know exactly the level of the 3 teams here, so we will have to go into this game and see how good they are. But I'm pretty sure we should have this.
Excellent. That's great to hear. All right. Well, good luck and best. Hope the game goes well.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Well, thanks a lot to the 2 teams, and throwing this back to you, Dominic.
Okay, so you did get a little bit of a taste of eXtatus' support communities yourself. He indeed is quite cheerful, but then Pri also showed up really well from ESG. Quite a nice interview indeed, and you might have the upper hand in terms of these LAN tournaments that he's attended, but yeah, local LAN tournaments are just not so unpopular anymore. Overall, the national scenes are becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and overall, just many of these countries are making their own leagues. You've got the Turkish main league that they're participating in. The Russian side of the world is also doing something for themselves. So that's very interesting. And lately, a lot has been stirring around Poland and possibly Czech Republic too. So everyone's just getting their individuality exposed out there, and I'm really glad to see that overall. As we talked with Nikita a little bit earlier, it just gives you more opportunities to get some more experience. As you can see right here, we've got 4 top teams from the group stages. It's Euronics Gaming, it's eXtatus, eSoba, and Bulldog also. And it's not like these guys are completely unknown. It's not like they have no experience at all. While on some tournaments, you might have seen some teams that just never have been to a LAN, and already like, it's the 7th season of League of Legends, right? So already it's not such an unknown esports game. Some newer players can join the game and catch up with the guys that have been playing from season 1, and you can finally see the, like, I don't want to call it generations collide, but definitely we have some players who are already thinking about retiring, who are like nearing maybe not their 30s, but going to the late 20s, and then you have guys like eXtatus with 15 and 16-year-old players on the roster.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when I first started, you know, finding even the guides for the champions. It was very new. Team Solo Mid was the go-to place for actually guides, and I think it's very exciting to see such young players, and what they have access to has really pushed the game, I think, to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right now both the teams are already sitting in front of their computers and getting ready for the picks and ban phase, and overall the 5 bans right here. Indeed, in my opinion at least, it did affect the picks that were actually picked into the jungle, but still didn't draw out anything new, in my opinion. Still, it was not a fresh game that we saw previously, because, as I mentioned, like the middle laner from Bulldog was preparing his Ahri, and he went for this Ahri, so no surprise right there. We also saw a Sintra from Humanoid. I said that he performed very well in the group stages with that. It didn't get banned. Obvious pick for him. He knows that he can dominate with it. We did see a Caitlyn. We did see a Varus. Also, there's Ashe open alongside with it. And I mentioned that there are some other AD carries. Maybe I'm a little bit surprised with the ban on Twitch. Yeah. Because that's a little bit less standard. That might have been a little bit of a pocket pick from one of these AD carries. But yeah, overall, nothing too surprising. You get the Zac ban, you get the Galio ban, you get maybe a little bit of targeted bans, and then you still get the standard picks. Do you think that maybe we'll get to see something new on this LAN tournament?
Well, as I said in the interview, you know, I was very surprised that they let Syndra through, because I thought it was he played it very well, and it's a very comfortable and strong pick at the moment, and it can be a real playmaker, and he was definitely hitting those stunts. So I was a bit surprised that they did. The Twitch ban was a bit unusual as well. I think it'd be interesting to see how much they've scouted each other out, because as we heard on stage, Euronics was saying that they don't know the other teams as much. They all played in the group stages, but they won 3-0, and it was very dominant. So I don't think these teams had to reveal too much to the other teams. So it will be interesting to see what ends up coming out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Maybe some of the teams even got the chance to just goof around a little bit. Like I said, Don Arts just had a very horrible game at first in the group stage, but then he completely miraculously recovered and wrecked everybody. So maybe they were just not treating everything as seriously. Maybe they thought that they can get through with just giving like 20% of their strength. But overall, definitely, I can see a lot of potential that lies in ESG. And I liked what they said, that it is winnable for them, that they like the level of this tournament because everything is in their reach. And that's exactly what I wanted to like experience coming into this LAN tournament. I didn't say that that's what we're going to get to see. I said that I hope that it would be, because you could see the first match was very one-sided in favor of eSuba. So I am afraid that it's possible for the entire LAN tournament to be like that. But since ESG's captain, I think I could say, said that they like the level of this tournament, then possibly we're actually going to get to see these close games, and that everybody can grab a win if they give their best, because that's exactly what eXtatus said. If they give their 100%, they're going to do as good as eSuba did in the previous matchup. So if ESG also think that they get a shot at eXtatus, then we might have that trio of teams actually performing on a similar level and giving us a lot of exciting League of Legends. Then Bulldog, they better watch this very carefully, because they're going to get to face off the losers of this match, and they have to be very well prepared for them, hopefully that they can recover.
No, definitely. I think it'll be exciting. I really hope so as well, that Euronics and eXtatus are able to pull out their best performance and compete against each other. I think Bulldogs, they seem positive. They're able to recover. Like they said, it's the first LAN, so it's valuable experience.
Oh, yeah.
I think they do maybe need to rethink their picks and bans and maybe make it a bit targeted, see how they perform, but at the same time, as you mentioned, the bans of the last game were targeted at quite OP picks at the moment, like Zach and so on. So I'm not sure how much things need to be changed. From what I've heard, eSoba and eXtatus know each other quite well. Obviously, being from Czech, and they play each other quite often. So, eXtatus sounded confident. If they're confident against eSoba, then hopefully they're confident against ESG.
It's always the benefits, the slight benefit of being the underdog.
Yeah.
Like when you are eXtatus, you are doing all the research in the world that you can get on eSuba out there to just finally take them down from that first place spot. And when you're at the top, it's hard to actually like devise new tactics and create completely new playstyles, because you are in the lead and no one's really able to provide you the challenge. So you are not forced to progress, while the teams below you are just waiting for the opportunity to take you down. So there's a possibility that eXtatus will show us something real targeted right here when we get to a game like this. And overall, as you mentioned, the first bans looked really bland, maybe because, just like ESG, the same is for Bulldogs versus eSuba. When these two teams clash against each other, they don't know so much about each other, so they just go for the standard. Maybe when we get a little bit deeper into the brackets, when we get to these like semi-finals maybe of this GSL group, then we're gonna get to see some more interesting compositions and bans, and overall some better preparations from the teams.
I think so, and I think that there's something to be said. It's early in the day. Comfort picks are an important thing. They just kind of want to get through this stage, because the closer that they get to the top two, that's where the money is, and so maybe they don't want to reveal too much ESO, but like you said, we're the favorites of the tournaments. They've done very well. So where do we go from here? Well, maybe they just want to secure the first win with the champions that they're well known for already, and go from there, and then pull out that interesting picks in the next game against eSoba. So.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, like when eSuba are in the top, it's hard to kind of create something new. But then on the other hand, this kind of tournament, for them, with all the experience that they had, I think this looks like a little bit smaller or easier than for the other teams. For eXtatus, for ESG, for Bulldogs, it is a challenge. They come to this tournament, they want to win, they're 100% determined. And maybe for eSuba, it's that tournament that, yeah, they can easily completely just smash, but maybe they're going to try to figure out something new. Maybe that's going to be where they're experimenting on a little bit higher level, but still not in a match that is going to like destroy their standing in a league or something, because it's just one-shot tournaments. Like when you get the first place right here, doesn't necessarily give you anything for the second Legend series. There's still, maybe you're going to get the invite instead of having to qualify, but it's still not of such a huge value to them, so they might play around a bit.
Absolutely, and I think, they, like they said, they have a lot of experience, so this is just kind of another notch on their belt, but this gives extra fire to the teams that are really trying to prove something, trying to show that the individual players, the teams, that they all can match up against, the best semi-pro teams. It was very interesting for me to hear that, eSoba were barely lost out to Kingwin in the last Challenger Series. Kingwin were a strong team, and the fact that they came so close to reaching Challenger Series, which is a step before LCS, says a lot about the team and how capable they are. So I don't think any team, and especially not the Bulldogs, who are so new and inexperienced, should feel ashamed of losing against them, but rather take it really as a learning experience and then taking it further.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, like Kingwin facing off against eSoba, I'm glad that you brought it up because, like you said, eSoba, they have a gaming house. They are preparing together for quite a long time. They know each other very well, and that's been the case already like 2 years ago. It was not Kingwin, but Tabasco, the jungler from Kingwin, was actually in a team named Illuminar Honor Gaming, and they lost 0-3 against eSoba in the qualifiers to the Challenger Series back then. And yeah, Illuminar also had a gaming house, more I would say a boot camp it was, right. And they were preparing pretty well. They had some good coach right there, but yeah, they felt that they could play good enough. They could face off against eSoba. They weren't 100% confident. I remember Veggie, their coach, saying that it is like 40 to 60% or 35 to 65% their chances. So he didn't think that they were on a lost position, but they weren't the favorites definitely, and they got smashed into the ground. But now, yeah, Tabasco, the Kingwin jungler, just getting a little bit of a revenge, also not allowing eSoba to get into the Challenger Series. So right now, it's the other way around a little bit. But yeah, eSoba still a very considerable lineup, always just around that threshold, around the Challenger Series. If they don't get in, then they're going to fight another time, and then it's going to happen. They're going to get successful.
So I've just been told that pick bans are coming up. I guess we should refocus on the teams that are playing. But, I'm excited to see what eXtatus has, especially. I mean, we've looked at ESG, they have a good amount of experience. The locals, as they said, they've had a lot of LAN experience. But I'm surprised at the confidence coming from eXtatus and such young players, You don't expect a 15 and 16-year-old to just jump up on stage and say, we're going to win, that's it. And so comfortable with that presence. So I think that says a lot, and hopefully they can take that and carry it on into the game.
Yeah, but then on the other hand, you've got the situation on the scene right on the picture. Like eSoba completely crushing their enemies so much, and eXtatus are the ones that are supposed to be right behind them. They're the ones to just take the better of any kind of opportunity that might come soon enough. So yeah, it must make you mature enough in a very quick manner. Because when you're playing for a team like eXtatus, it's a big organization. It exists on the Czech Republic scene for a lot of time right now. And yeah, you are a 15-year-old player or a 16-year-old player. And when you are playing in a mix, when you don't really have an organization, when you're playing with some of your friends, some of the better players from solo queue and stuff like that, you can't just decide, all right, we cannot beat them. Yeah. Let's just stop that. But when you're on eXtatus, you're not going to say that because the management is going to kill you. Yeah, so basically, eXtatus right now just have that big challenge. If eSoba is up there, they have to somehow figure out a way to take them down. That doesn't work out for the first time, for the third time, for the 100th. They still are going to keep trying, and that just creates this kind of a mindset. So that they are going to win. They have to do this because otherwise they just feel like failures. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's just a really big thing about the experience, as from both interviews, as I'm saying, how just getting out to lands like this is so important for players. And obviously, I think the ultimate goal for any of these players is to make it into the LCS. Mm-hmm. But the LCS actually has an age limit, so they, let's say they qualified, 2 of the players actually couldn't even play. But this is why these sorts of events, I think, are so important. They can make some money. They're able to play with the team, develop, get very comfortable on stage with winning high-pressure situations. And then from there, once they step into the LCS, they can hopefully go, completely full out.
And in my opinion, especially for the Eastern European countries, it's a huge benefit that such international tournaments are made, because I mean, I'm getting a little bit deep into like the country situation, but for them the economy is completely different. So if they earn like 1,000 euros, they pretty much get 4 times as much when they come back home. So for players like that from eXtatus, let's say, for a guy that's 15 years old, when he wins the 1,500 euros right here, of course they split it. even if he gets the small chunk of the prize pool and he shows it to his parents, it's going to be good enough motivation to let him play for like a year more. And the more tournaments like these, the more he's going to be allowed to actually focus on that one. And as you say, when he reaches his age, when he is mature enough, he'll be able to maybe join LCS in the future. So that's good gas, definitely, for these teams that a tournament, international tournament like that is created, because as eXtatus said, it's the first time.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and I think that's you make a great point. It's like, to be honest, at 15 or 16, if someone turned around to me and said I could make 250, 500 euros, something like that, from playing a video game that I was playing anyway, you know, mind blown.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. It's actually amazing. Like, I've been following esports for about 12 years now or something, and just to see the levels and where we're going to and the opportunities. And I think you know, coming from the UK, the esports scene is developing. It's not anywhere near as big as it is in Europe or anywhere in Germany, but I think the Eastern European scene is quite strong, and it's interesting to see young players and the top players who have already made it into the scene and where they've come from and so on. And I think they have quite a strong presence. You mentioned, I think, Roccat before. Oh, we have the pick bans are up now, so here we go.
Yeah, we're gonna go into the picks and bans, and overall, just chiming in for a second about that UK scene. I feel like there's a huge mix of console and PC players. Like, in the majority of Europe, you've got all the focus on PC games, on esport games, and all that stuff. But then UK, I feel like they stayed with the consoles for a lot, so they're playing a lot of like Street Fighter, maybe Mortal Kombat. They have good Call of Duty teams. I guess that's something you won't experience so much in like Czech Republic, Poland, Germany.
That's a very good point, and I think it's very true. I think I'm surprised. I mean, we have Twitch again, so clearly the players are rating that quite highly. I think obviously Twitch is always very strong with his invisibility and able to create picks. But Lucian, I mean, we've seen that recently in the LCS in mid lane, actually, and it performed very well. So I wonder if that is a Euronics respecting eXtatus's mid laner.
Yeah, for sure. It is a possibility. We did get to see that Lucian in the middle lane many times in the group stage. And yeah, it worked out once. The other time it wasn't as successful, but there still is a possibility. There still is that danger. So they just rather get rid of it. And the Twitch ban, you talked to the players and asked which the champions will be of top concern right here, right?
Yeah.
So they said Ashe, Varus, and Caitlyn. But I also thought about Twitch, and especially seeing him in the group stage, overall, knowing what kind of nature of a champion it is, he is always dangerous. So maybe they lied to you a little bit to just conceal it so that no one knows, so that maybe it slips through and maybe they will be able to pick it. But apparently that's not happening. So Echo is going to be our last ban in here, but nobody skips Zac nor Galio. But actually, eXtatus are forced to ban these players. It seems like Euronics is targeting it a little bit more, is like forcing eXtatus into a little bit less comfortable of a situation. Then Gragas is going to be the first pick from Euronics. We saw it in the top lane just a while ago by Isoba. So the question is, are Euronics going to go for the top lane with it, or maybe change a little bit into the jungle?
Yeah, and I mean, we see Caitlyn now, so I guess they won't like that much, but it's an interesting thing. I think what's interesting to see is compared to last game, we had, I think, 3 jungle bans and 3 ADC bans, whereas this is much more spread out a little bit here and there, just taking out those picks that either they're not comfortable with or that they know the other team is more comfortable with. A Tristana, now that would be interesting.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting, but what's quite, well, acceptable and normal that's happening right here is, okay, Tristana got locked in.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I guess, you know, I mean, she definitely has a great ability to take towers. And if they maybe Euronics is really believing in their map movements and overall play of the strategy. This is interesting. So with Braum and Thresh up, so now we've seen like both, all 4 teams are prioritizing melee supports over those range supports, which might be due to the latest patch notes.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I expected rather to see even more of that Karma, maybe Zyra or all the aggressive champions like these in the bottom lane. But instead we do get a Thresh for the second time. We saw a Tamkinch and now a Braum is picked up. So maybe they just don't want to show all their cards just yet, or maybe, as I mentioned in the previous picks and bans, they just want to go safety, just want to return to the default. On that thresh, you're a little bit tanky, you're not going to get the risk as a Zyra that if you get hit once, if you just die once on the lane, you're going to get completely shot down because you're going to get killed over and over and over again because it just takes a couple of auto attacks. And that thresh gains the safety for your AD carry. Just take a look at Euronics bottom lane at the moment. You're going to have the rocket jump and the dark passage, so that Ori is a lot of movement. Plus, you get the Gragas to the team, and it seems like Euronics will be quite mobile overall. They'll be hopping around the team fights.
Absolutely, I think they have a real ability to create a large number of picks there. You know, different forms of engage as well. So that will be it'll be quite interesting to see how they play. Whereas, you know, looking at eXtatus, they definitely are looking at the range. So if they're grabbing the Shen, it's a very safe pick. Yes, they have, and they've locked it in.
And the second bans, once again, for Euronics, it was exactly the same for Bulldog. They also banned Fiora and Cannon in the second rotation. But on the other hand, it is aimed heavily at the middle lane, Orianna and Syndra. So we're not going to get to see the Syndra anymore. But Orianna stays banned, and in my opinion, it's like at the moment these are the two very distinguishable champions that can completely dominate you if there is a man that plays them very well in that respective role. So we had Humanoid in the middle lane last time, who plays amazing of a Syndra. He got that and he just demolished. So it's hard to risk the Syndra and Orianna. Of course, the remaining champions are also capable of completely obliterating you, but that just brings us down to the point that which champion isn't strong in the middle lane.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is actually, we have a very nice diverse meta at the moment where things are quite flexible, and this is another thing we didn't touch on it at the intro, but the 10 bans actually now allows teams to remove those must pick, and then we can bleed down from, you know, tier S to tier A or B and so on. So these champs which are good but not necessarily so overpowered that you have to pick them if they're left up. We have Ahri picked up again, so that's interesting. But the Cassiopeia, which we haven't seen, and from what I mean, Cassiopeia can be very dominant in the right hands.
Yeah, definitely there exists a possibility like that. And I'm glad that we do get to see the Jarvan in the top lane. Although then I would like to see Donards on a different champion than Gragas. I'm not sure if he's going to be so good on a little bit tankier of a jungler. Anyway, though, I'm quite sure he'll still be fine. Though my focus is going to be a little bit on the top lane, possibly. If this Jarvan gets going, it could get real dangerous. I mean, we were talking about how mobile ESG are going to be. Then you add the Jarvan additionally to that with the flag and drag combo. And then a very immobile in return champion in the middle lane. That's Cassiopeia. She's going to be quite fast on her feet, but no additional gap closers.
She doesn't actually have any feet, so you know, she can't even buy boots at the moment. But you know, I think if we're looking at the rest of the team with Gragas, with Jarvan, and you know, Thresh in the bot lane. We were talking about how they'd be able to protect Tristan and create a lot of mobility, but this is actually a very nice team to be built around Cassiopeia, who isn't the most mobile, but with lots of stuns and protection, it could really give her the opportunity to let loose. I think on the other side, you know, we have a team that is just it's very standard and lots of picks. I think you could really, with Caitlyn and Ashe, there's a real possibility comboing up those headshots into some serious damage and suddenly just eliminating someone from the map.
Yeah, for now though, I'm definitely also curious about the bottom lane of ESG, how that Tristan is going to work out. Camille is deciding to go for a Braum rather than anything very aggressive, so still the tankier supports right here, but seeing that Shen in the top lane, some people would expect it to be the super tank too, but lately the meta in the top lane is rather shifting to more attack speed, more AP out there, so even if you get to see these Titanic tanks that they would usually be in the previous metas, they're actually not as tough.
Absolutely, and I think but the thing that Shen does bring is it's an extra numbers disparity. You know, it's why teleport is so important. You can turn a 2v3 into a 3v3 or 2v2 against a 3v3, and with Shen's ultimate, you know, he has the chance to get into the bot lane on top of if they burn the teleport of his opponent. So it really gives a lot of mobility and the chance for the teams to kind of create skewed battles where they can really take advantage and dominate just through sheer numbers.
All right now, hopefully we're not going to get to see that Elise getting dominated again in the jungle. No. For now, Sawyer is not really aggressively going into the enemy's part of the map, but there definitely is a possibility of that happening. If he wants to gain a little bit of an advantage over Gragas in the jungle, it shouldn't be so hard after all, but ESG do have a little bit of that vision coverage. At least they are the only ones that have a little bit aggressive of a ward inside of the enemy jungle. eXtatus though creating an impenetrable seemingly line of wards on the river. And let's see what that brings them to. Right now, Sawyer, I think he was spotted, but definitely seems like he's looking for some aggression in the middle lane.
Yeah, I mean, we briefly saw it that, you know, Pretty was able to push Ari slightly back out of lane. I mean, the kind of difference, he lost out on a bit of about a wave, I would say. It's not too bad, but it just, you know, Cassiopeia is very strong at that level 1, level 2, and is able to really create a bit of a pressure on their opponent if the play is good, and Pretty definitely seems to know how to do that. It will be interesting, though, to see how things progress once Ari obviously scales up and once she gets her ultimate. She's so mobile, and Cassiopeia isn't so mobile that, you know, how they'll be playing against each other, but we have some action up top.
Real interesting that the Gragas decided to actually go for the flash body slam. Did not seem like they could have taken out a kill from this situation, but they forced the flash also to be burned by Wardine in the top lane. So a little bit of a trade definitely was made already, and that definitely is for the sole purpose of getting the top laner a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As you said, you know, you're excited about seeing Jarvan get ahead, and I mean, he's now pulling ahead. He has 13 CS ahead of Shen, which this early on is, you know, it's not impossible to pull back, but it creates, especially if he's able to go back and buy down the line, it will be create more pressure that can snowball. Quite interesting. And I think a flash for flash, trading your jungler's flash for the top flash definitely is worth it. Especially, you know, Jarvan is ready at level 5, so once he's level 6, Shen could be stuck if they're able to layer their CC correctly.
Yeah, definitely could be a problem. So as I said, Wardine right now will be looking for a possibility in the top lane, while the Czech player will have to be a little bit more careful from now on. Although in that time we did not really get to see much impact from the Elise. Also not any counter jungling happening, not any impressive of a gank, because no, some of the spells were burned on the other side, but they lost their flash in the middle that we did not actually get to see. But that has happened, as we can see the cooldown ticking right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the thing is we're looking at Donards, and he's doing a very nice clear of his jungle and making sure that when he went for that gank, I don't actually think there was that much available for Elise to go in and take. So, you know, that's good on him. He's now placed a bit of a deep ward just on the side. They're trying to spot that Elise. And yep, they found her now in the river. And it looks like he's putting a bit of pressure on her. Okay, they're just trading. They were just grabbing Scuttle Crab, which went to ESG.
Okay, ESG definitely down in the bottom lane. They lacked a little bit in terms of vision, but right now 2 control wards. Now the Rift Scuttler also was taken, so they definitely are going to be a little bit more comfortable. And this time it's not as important to control this part of the map, as there's an Ocean Drake instead of an Infernal Drake. So previously it was just immense of a focus for Yaki, who indeed dominated the jungler, as he was supposed to be the one that's shot down, which was real surprising, and the first surprise of that previous matchup. Emilius now losing a little bit of HP, but he did apply the concussive blows on towards Mermal, so there will be no follow-up from the AD carry of ESG. That's going to be a dead end for both the lineups.
I think I just want to go back to the ward placement in the river. I think that's quite clever, because obviously they created pressure up top. And oh, sorry, action is happening at the bottom. Elise is there. Oh no, Titan's predictive.
That was a mistake though.
Oh, is this going to cost them?
Sawyer is going to manage to just jump away, but Camillus also has to burn a flash when the Stand United is used. One would think that maybe they would like to just continue this fight a little bit, just looking at the health bars of the bottom lane players of the enemy team, but overall, it was not the right idea to go for the cocoon at the AD carry. Panda was stunned right in front of their faces, dropped down to 200 HP, but maybe they got a little bit too greedy and thought that the rest will finish off Panda, and then I'll have a setup for them with a cocoon on the AD carry if I catch him. But instead, they got nothing, and they burned a lot.
here we go. I mean, it definitely. I wonder if they're going to be able to catch this.
And that's a little bit unfortunate. He's probably going to be dead. Actually, Bree cannot
Yes,
toss out
look
the
at
auto
that, first
attacks,
blood.
but the last Twin Fangs were just enough. The Ignite also forced out from the mid laner of eXtatus. Once again, a little bit of a price paid by the Czech lineup, and they just used up the Stand United in the bottom lane. Shen did not have a teleport. He was still in the middle lane areas. He was caught off guard. That is not something you should do.
No, and this is now a bit worrying because maybe what happened bot lane was just a bit of nerves. They are young players, as we were saying, and the excitement it just wasn't very smooth. I understand why he went for that predictive cocoon, but it wasn't layered correctly. But now we see, SG really punishing eXtatus for those flashes that were burnt, and the teleport and flash was burnt top. So they managed to correctly invade and predict where Shen was going, and they got first blood as a result. And not only that, but Jarvan up top is now really taking quite a big, CS lead and advantage, which is going to be difficult for Shen to, I think, deal with the more this game goes on. I mean, just looking at the gold difference, it's already 2,500, which at not even 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's just terrible for Shen that's up there in the top lane. He's lost the turret, the first turret of the map. Then the huge advantage in CS, it was nearly doubled, but right now Jarvan had to fall back to base. So Warline is not going to keep up this advantage, but it still does not change a thing. Right there, he puts his hands on the Tiamat, and he's just going to make that pressure bigger and bigger and bigger. And ESG very successful at surviving in the bottom lane, and that is why, in my opinion, it was crucial that Cocoon missed. Because that was the only way for eXtatus to actually get something going right now. You could see in the middle lane, Sawyer actually wasn't there. Their top laner Morchid died. Shiage did not even know how to help him. He just burned his Ignite trying to reply with some damage, but didn't manage to really pull off enough. So the upper half of the map is definitely lost. The bottom lane is where they are putting on the pressure. Murmel and Panda can feel the pain every single time. When they even get some damage done to Camilius, there are the concussive blows, so there's the danger of still going down even if you go all in. And then there was Sawyer showing up in the bottom lane, so that should have been the pivotal moment for eXtatus, but they didn't make it happen. And now it's going to hurt, because as you said, the gold difference is already getting quite big. It's 3,000. Right now, the map control is also going to be more and more impressive for ESG, as they will know that eXtatus will have to somehow recover. They're not going to be so confident anymore. And now, yeah, a little bit unsure of this Stand United, but they do manage to catch him with the Shadow Dash. There's the flash. Perfectly line up and manages to get away at the same time. The Drake falls. And right now, without this kill, once again, eXtatus realize, hey, we slightly screwed up.
I think they applied pressure, and I think that's good because they're showing that they can still threaten the other team. I mean, like right now, they're coming in mid. Oh no! Oh,
that's exactly
very
what
nicely played.
Donars was waiting for,
Yes.
and that's exactly what he did in the top lane. But back there, he did not have an explosive cask, and now you can see how the combo lines up perfectly. And even the turret was still attacking him. You could have performed that a little bit better, but the most important thing is that he survived. ESG is getting going. And if nothing stops them from eXtatus right now, I think that the ESG will just roll more and more towards their victory.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely starting to snowball. I think what I was going to say is that I think at this point what eXtatus need to do is they just need to slow the tempo of the game down slightly, focus on farming, because they have champs that, especially Caitlyn, is great late game. And, oh gosh, someone else getting caught out.
Sawyer should not die right here, but very aggressive of a play from Ward. He's really close to death. He's going to get caught out with that Orb of Deception. Combined with a flash also from the middle laner of EXT, but then are they going to find some more kills? Still, they lost the turret, so that trade, getting 2 kills back, gets them some momentum, gives them some speed in this game, especially as the double landed on the very hands of Ari. It's an important member of the team. Luckily enough, Shen didn't take anything away or anything along these lines, but it was a mistake by ESG. Without even the outer turret destroyed, they dove an inner turret in a 1v1 situation, not being fully aware of the positions of the enemy team. And I think that they can just simply correct that. They're going to say right now, hey War9, please don't do that again. We're not ahead enough in order to just throw the game like that, and that's it. Still 2-0 in turrets, still the gold lead, remains right there, the same as it was before this team fight. So they traded the turret for the kills, and it's pretty much equals.
But this just shows that it's not done for eXtatus, that they are, if EXG is just going to underestimate them and start putting themselves in bad positions, eXtatus is able to capitalize on that. And, you know, and this is actually, I think, eXtatus taking advantage of Jarvan's flash from before, because he, you know, he didn't have it up at that point. So it's very interesting, you know, and I was actually going to ask her, when Ari died in mid lane, I found that she had a flash up, and I'm not sure if it had just come off cooldown, but obviously it was a good thing she didn't use it, because she was able to use it then to get this double kill. And now they've narrowed the lead, you know, down to 2,000. Oh no, it's up to 3,000 again. But you know, there's still the game is close enough that eXtatus could turn this around if they get the right team fight or the right pick. But I think what they need to do really is to focus on CSing, because they're just slowly falling behind there. And that's just going to, you know, death by increments.
Yeah, Shiage missing another charm right here in the middle lane. Once again, he just has to run for like 10 seconds in order to shake off that chase of Cassiopeia's. And so the 3,000, as you mentioned, is surely not as much. In the previous game, by the 14th minute mark, we had almost 10,000 of a gold lead already. So this is definitely doable, but eXtatus should be feeling the pressure. And once again, War9 is just looking for that kill in the top lane. And Shen already knows that he's not tough enough to stand up against that, because he would have been dead probably, possibly, maybe, if not the mid laner saving him right there.
Well, I mean, just right now he needs to be able to hold his top turret, but we can see the mid lane is moving up, and most importantly, we have Donuts, who is positioning himself to ensure that there isn't a counter gank, but it looks like something is happening bot lane, which we'll be able to go and look at that. They're definitely pressuring this top lane, and I'm not sure. Here's Donuts up, and yeah, it looks like Shen will probably be going down.
Not sure that really tanking the turret right there was the best decision right now. Good flash right here from Shen, but I don't think that's enough to stay alive. And Pri just hops in when he has recovered a little bit from tanking the turret a little bit earlier. And yeah, that's going to be the bottom turret going down. So finally, one tower for eXtatus. This is important because the towers are so big in this game of the League of Legends lately. Of course, with the change from the first turrets not affecting the game so globally, it theoretically should have lost the meaning a little bit, but no, the turrets is still the main purpose of this game, of course, and it all started with everybody observing Korea even more, and with the World Championships that they started dominating, everybody realized that, yeah, the objective game, the rotations game is actually this game is about, and so right now, ESG is ahead.
Right now, what a nice output. That's a great turnaround, and this is the sort of thing that they need to do. They, you know, they created they got the tower bot lane, ESG overextended, the Panda and Mobile, they overextended, and, you know, eXtatus really capitalized on that. And they need to continue playing their game. They can't let themselves be too flustered. I think Morsha did a great job on top lane of not dying against 3 people. You know, he dragged that out long enough that they couldn't take down the tower. Unfortunately, now it's actually just dropped, but that allowed bot lane, and it allowed Sawyer to go bot lane, create enough pressure for them to get that tower, and then further down get the kill on Panda.
Yeah, Donars has their Rift Herald ready though, so the turret in the top lane has fallen down after all, and now another is probably going to be taken down by ESG, so they are making that lead bigger soon enough, but it's still just hanging around that 3,000 gold lead, so you can see that eXtatus are not giving up much more. They're trying, they're giving their best right here, and what I like, what they did right here is that they took advantage of the only thing that they got in this game. They got the bot lane, actually. They did not, as you say, just get flustered too much. They didn't lose their confidence. They just looked, analyzed what's actually going good in this game. They took advantage of it. Now they're going to fight for the rest. And there's an Infernal Drake. That's going to be an important one. And this Braum, I feel like he could be very important in the team fights. Okay, Explosive Cask into a hook on towards the support. Not so effective, but the Chameleons could still be dead. And there's a great Dark Passage. I'm quite sure War9 will be able to get out of there, but actually it disappears before he manages to click that. Although a double kill in return for 1. And now the AD carry being caught is no good news, but so low, everybody. And there's an ace in a hole to finish one off. Shen is not gonna manage to win the fight against Pri, but then there's still Donars on just the fumes of his HP, but he falls back down towards the bottom lane where Murmel will definitely save him if the need comes. And the Rift Herald now comes into play. It's so late after the teamfight. eXtatus are not expecting much more happening out here.
I mean, that was just great play by Donut, and we weren't sure how the Gragas would perform in the jungle, but he's really just being a playmaker. I think eXtatus definitely had the right idea in creating, getting the Rift Scuttler Crab and getting Vision and trying to stop ESG from getting the Infernal, but they're not strong enough, unfortunately, and ESG is playing extremely well and figuring out on how to create this pressure, and I think it was very good how they held on to the Rift Herald to now, take a lane, get Tristana to push it up, and then chuck it down there into bot lane. And it looks, I mean, we have Caitlyn in the bot, so we'll see how they do. But I'm not entirely sure how they're going to pull back now, because now that we've seen this kind of full-on team fight, they, eXtatus had the control and they had the vision control, so they really should have been ready for the Gragas to jump in. But he managed to get a great body slam, and then from there, it was over.
So right now, finally, the gold lead is a little bit bigger for ESG, because for the last 7 minutes at least, we had the 3,000 and it didn't move an inch. But with it being 4,000, I don't feel like ESG actually are gaining the advantage, because the kill distribution is non-existent on their side. Everything is on Cassiopeia, while right now Ari is getting going a little bit. Also, young Alpaca on this Caitlyn of his is going to be a little bit dangerous. Though once again the risk rises of him being shot down and giving even more gold to the enemy team. So hopefully they're going to be able to control that. But once again, I feel like I've been pointing out this bottom lane for eXtatus many times, and it worked out in terms of the turret. Finally, the one man that's doing the best in the team in terms of the kills, he didn't even die once this far. He's farming very well. As he said, he scales into the late game quite fine. It is the bottom lane, and hopefully they can continue that, because if there is a possibility for them to win, then definitely that way.
They're creating really good pressure there on mid, but then they backed off even though they were 3v2. And I mean, the Shen ultimate is down, so unfortunately that's not available, and they start to pull back. Their vision isn't very strong for eXtatus in the top jungle, which is why they had to pull back, because Gragas disappeared from the lane. But there's definitely possibilities. And as you said, young Alpaca is performing very well. He's farming well. Caitlyn, late game, is a monster. And the thing is that Ari is still 2-1, and she whilst she's behind in farm to Cass, it's not so much that she's completely ineffective. What's making it interesting for me is I think that they have a few champions that definitely can delete Cassiopeia, but are they really going to take this Baron?
Donard, yeah, it seems like he can soak up the damage. It looks like he's
Wow.
got everything prepared, and that's gonna be a Baron out of nowhere. The 20th minute, and eXtatus will now be in deep trouble, because as I mentioned, they finally got the kills going. Finally, it didn't look so bad. They got the first turret, they started thinking, they started regaining the map control, but then the Baron goes down, and now they're set back completely. Now they have to wait in their base. They have to be afraid that if they push out to try and farm something up, they might be caught instantly. There's a Thresh, you have to remember that on the enemy team, and I'm still... like you were talking about how Caitlyn might get real strong closer to the end game, but then also looking at the other side, there's a Tristana, and with I don't think we've seen a lot of Tristana when the newer 80 carry items popped up, but you have to keep in mind that there's an option of going for the quickfire cannon for her, and I feel like this is going to be a murderous combo.
Yes, no, absolutely. I think the thing is right now Caitlyn now is on 2 items. She's got her IE and a static shiv, and that's a good power spike, and they need to do something with it. It's just, right now their vision game is not strong at all, and that's what allowed ESG to just go in and take the Baron 2 people at 20 minutes. So, as you said, eXtatus just need to sit back and defend, but this is what we've been saying for a while. They needed to sit back, farm, and just get themselves back into game incrementally and kind of capitalize on the mistakes of ESG. But Euronics isn't really making those mistakes, and also eXtatus isn't placing the wards and the vision around the map that are needed for them to really capitalize on it.
Yeah, right now they're gonna lack in terms of the buffs completely, with the jungle dominated by the enemy team. Pretty is putting a little bit too much pressure on Shiage in the middle lane, and I feel like too many times has the charm been missed, or rather it has too rarely hit. because there's never really been a situation where Shiage had the lead in the fight in the middle lane. It was always Cassiopeia that was chasing him away, and he didn't do too bad.
We're going under tower.
Like, yeah?
Look at this.
Okay.
And that's ulti burnt. Oh, she caught it, but is it going to be enough?
Finally, the charm works out, but the Jarvan coming in, and Wardine is definitely a little bit too big of a threat for anybody to keep up with it. So Bree has a good idea. He knows that somebody's on the outer rims of his Fog of War. He knows that somebody's going to come into support, and confidently goes in. The enemy thinks, okay, she's a little bit crazy, goes in between two turrets. Todd tries to turn it all around, finally hits the charm, which is a little bit of a bait on Shaggy, I would say, because of how many times he missed the charm. He finally felt like he got it, so he went for the chance, and yeah, okay, he didn't die, so it's not so horrible, but there's still a flash burn right there, and it's still once again just losing your confidence completely in the bottom lane. Tristana is going to start to show her power and taking down the turrets, and what is that? Chiage jumping in! And without a flash, with his ultimate down, that was a big mistake. And just like this, ESG are going to dominate this thing, but a triple kill already for the AD carry. And they will be looking to finish off the last man, and they're just torturing that Shen. Him being a little bit more tanky than the rest of the team right now was just meaning his longer agony in this situation. And the turret was also nearly down already, so they didn't have to worry about that. They could have taken it down mid-team fight. And what the hell? Chiage getting exposed so much right there. There's a Thresh also who's going to completely abuse any kind of positioning mistakes they are going to make. And without a flash, without the Spirit Rush, him being pulled out of the range of the turrets is unacceptable.
Absolutely, I think this is, unfortunately, it's a real mistake for Shiagi, but I also have to, again, highlight, I think Donox has really been the standout player for me on ESG, just because he's been hitting those body slams so well, just again and again, and capitalizing on getting, you know, 2 or 3 players in that body slam and suddenly just opening up the fight. You know, that was just a very well played by ESG. Here we go, we have the replay. Look at that, and Shiagi just completely caught out.
Yeah, the Death Sentence definitely caught him out completely, but then the barrel was used right after. Because I didn't necessarily see what was happening on the back of this fight. I only focused on him being caught out, so I thought that maybe the explosive cask has thrown him into the enemy team. But that was not even the case, so that just even points out that it was really bad. And overall, some people might criticize, alright, what can you do against a Thresh Hook? What can you do against the explosive cask of a Gragas? But on this kind of level of game, anything short of perfect is bad. You have to admit that.
Absolutely, and I think, but we were really seeing Euronics playing very well as a team, because, you know, we see Gragas jumping in, and then Jarvan is coming in right behind and splitting the team up and capitalizing. They're chaining their CCs very well, and they're looking at the mistakes, and obviously the communication, I think, would be excellent. It's just, I expected more of eXtatus, to be honest. This game is completely opened up, but Euronics from the start have taken control and not let it go.
3,500 gold difference in the middle lane. That just shows you the power right now that ESG have in the form of that Cassiopeia. In the bottom lane, eXtatus' AD carry is trying to keep up right there. Tarzi not doing a bad job at all, but I still feel like with 7 turrets by ESG, there's still much more gold on the Tristana, and the Runaan's Hurricane alongside with the Blade of the Rune King is doing its job. And you have to keep in mind that soon more items will be popping up on his account, and I feel like already this Tristana is just doing a lot, but then she's not as standard of an AD carry nowadays for a reason, right? So if you can find a way to not let her snowball, if you can find a way to shut her down, it's gonna be okay. After all, she was around the times of season 3 to 4, the ultimate hyper carry, right? Yes. So Vayne, she's not really picked up so often for the competitive gaming anymore for some reasons. Twitch is definitely up there, but he's getting banned here every single game. People decided to go back to Tristana, and you can see how really very well it works. Mermo once again just reaching out for the kills. Getting the double kill. Camilius right on the back of the team fight. That isn't gonna help. He tried to take down single-handedly Panther, the enemy support. Theoretically the easiest target, but that was still a little bit too hard with 5 people up against him, and luckily enough they won't be able to pick off the Shen. Finally something goes right for eXtatus, but right when their Nexus turrets are falling down, That is way too late. So 15-6 in favor of Euronics Gaming, and they said after watching the game of eSub against Bulldog, if they give their best, they feel like they're able, it's possible for them to take this tournament. They feel like the level is very appropriate. So here they show that they indeed are aiming at facing off against eSub, but they are aiming to be the best.
Absolutely, and I think that they just controlled the tempo excellently. So I'm really excited to see how eSub and Euronics match up in the next match. I think eXtatus need to just take that. They understand, look at how they lost, what some of their mistakes were, and just, go in confident against the Bulldogs and remind themselves that there's another chance. It's not over yet. I think Euronics, I'm really impressed by them, their teamwork and the way they were layering things. At the end there, that last team fight was eXtatus, Xiaga jumping in and trying to create something. But when you're that far behind, I just don't think it's smart. I think you need to turtle up a bit.
Yeah,
but anyway, I'm going to leave you at that and going to find a player to interview.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'm definitely looking forward to that interview. I would love to listen to how that game has gone. I would love eXtatus to tell us what went wrong and how they actually faced off against eSub, but maybe on some different occasions, because right now we could start forming up some little rankings in this tournament already. But I feel like still eSub is going to be able to overpower every team out there. Although Euronics definitely showing some promise. And as I said, I don't really necessarily like Donards on this kind of a champion. He definitely had a perfect Gragas. He had amazing flash body slams. He had really good explosive casks where I don't think I've seen one that was a complete failure. So there's nothing negative I can say about that. So yeah, definitely showing his strength on yet another champion that we didn't get to see in the group stages. So this guy really seems just extremely strong. Now, as Nikita said, he will be looking for one of the players to pick up, and at the ending of the game, when the Nexus turrets were falling down, I could already see ESO players just going to the player room, already picking up their stuff and then getting plugged in on the stage. They can't wait to face off against Euronics, and this is going to be our next match, the winners match, and this, I feel like, will tell us everything about what we can expect right here. Although I still remember from the group stage that Euronics can lose a game and then come back completely evolved in a completely different form and then upset again. But if eSub indeed dominate Euronics, then there's not going to be anyone to still go up against them. Also, Bulldog versus eXtatus is going to be an interesting matchup for sure. And yeah, all of the teams that are here on the LAN finals, all of them seem extremely friendly, overall quite talkative and communicative. So it's sad to have to see one of them off so soon, because that's going to be in just about 2 hours. But yeah, for now, I can see that Nikita has already brought us one of the Euronics gaming players. We'll definitely find out how that worked out for them, and maybe just suggesting a little bit of a question, if Nikita listens to me, maybe you could ask about the bottom lane, how they recovered from that, because that was the only thing that went good for eXtatus, and I really liked the way they tried to develop that into a victory, but at the end of the day, it didn't work out. So yeah, Nikita, are you ready? Okay, I can see that he doesn't listen to me, so he's just discussing with the player what he wants to do right there. So when he's ready, we're gonna go over to him. But remember, eSub versus Euronics is coming up next. And if you are watching on the Twitch channel this tournament, if you're not here on the venue, you can definitely win a giveaway out there. Just type in !giveaway and you will be provided with all the necessary info. And if you're here on the venue in Hamburg, you can also win in some mini tournaments in VR games that are here on the boxing ring. But there we go, Nikita's ready.
Thank you very much, Nero. So here I am with Donards, who just did a great performance on Gragas in the last game. How are you feeling? Does that give you a lot of confidence to go into your next match against eSuba?
Yeah, I think we're really confident now. Like, some of us had a bit less experience, and we were like thinking about how it would be to play offline. And now I think we have a good feeling and are going into the next game with a lot of confidence.
So we were initially talking about that Gragas pick, and we weren't sure how it would work out. But you really seemed to control the tempo of the game. You know, you started out with that first gank up top, which got you the flash of the Shen, and then from there, you were just hitting these 3 or 4 man stuns constantly. Do you think that was just poor positioning on their other part, or were you really creating the opportunities?
I think it was a bit of both. Like we set up our plays really well. Like when we were setting up Nash, we cleared all the vision, or when we were setting up plays on the side lanes. And I think the enemies were just forced into a position where we could engage them.
Yeah, that Nashville was crazy. I didn't expect that at all. We were taken a bit by surprise. How come you guys felt so confident just taking it just with 2 people?
Like Cassiopeia is a really good champion to damage the Nash, and you can do it really fast. And we had pressure all over the game, and so we could just like clear the vision and sneak it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you definitely did, and from there you managed to open it up. So I really want to talk to you about the Tristana. That was quite an unusual pick. We didn't expect it at all. You pulled it out, and whilst in bot lane it wasn't dominating, but it didn't fall so far behind that it wasn't useful. And when it came down to taking the objectives, it seemed to just completely open up. So was that planned far in advance, or was it kind of a spur of the moment decision?
Our AD carry Momo is a really confident Tristana player, and he plays her a lot and feels really confident on her. And in Champ Select he just said, like, give me Tristana, I can do this, and I think he did well. Like, the laning phase is hard, it was as well a hard matchup, but I think the pick is okay. It's not the best AD carry pick, but if Momo picks it, it's totally fine.
Well, that's absolutely it. I think you take Tristana for the ability to take down objectives, and you need to get through that laning phase, and you completely did. So now, you guys controlled the tempo of that game very well. You know, you got an advantage, you didn't lose focus, and you just kept taking towers and objectives one after the other. But you're going up against Isuba, who also did very well and are very good at controlling the tempo. How do you guys beat them?
I think the next game is going to be really interesting. Isuba showed off a really good performance, and I think if we just draft a good comp and play accordingly to our game plan, we can beat them.
Well, that's good to hear. Okay, well, I hope it goes well, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, there we go. We hear it after an exciting match. We have, the interview with Euronics and Donuts, who really, I think, controlled the tempo of that game. We'll be taking a 5-minute break, and then we'll have the next match for you.